Joe Mackenzie here, your watercolor coach. I used to be a matchy-matchy painter, and what I mean by that is I used to paint and match my colors exactly to the photograph, and that's what was happening in this painting. But I'm going to show you what I do now instead. Instead, what I do is I use, and you can see on the right, that's matchy-matchy on the far right, and the middle I'm going to paint the way I paint today using a triad of ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and burnt sienna. And so in other words, what I'm doing here is not matching the color to be the same as the photograph, but I am matching value. And I'm using 3 colors in order to do that. So that's the burnt sienna. Now comes the alizarin crimson, and then here comes the ultramarine blue. And you can see that there's a heightening of color here. The value is probably exactly the same. But again, what I'm doing is I'm using color to get to the value rather than matching it to the photograph, because the colors in photographs tend to be duller and darker than they are in real life. All right, so let's go ahead and see what happens here. The paint is sort of thick, meaning about the consistency of gravy. I like there to be a certain body to the paint because I don't want to go over this. I don't want to go over this layer after layer. I might put one other layer in, but probably not. I like to hit it the first time if I can. All right, so now I'm going to put in that darker shadow. And again, I matched it so that you can see on the far right, it was like a grayish, blackish thing. Again, the value is no different in the way I paint today, but the color is different. So I'm just seeing value the same as I did back when I was being a matchy-matchy painter, but I'm changing the color so it doesn't match the photograph. Although again, as I said, the value will stay the same. And I do think that you end up with a much better painting. And that's what I'm trying to demonstrate here. And some people will prefer the old way, and that's fine. You know, we're talking about stylistic differences here. I just wanted to be able to see if I could demonstrate sort of where my style has been from where it was to where it is now. And I thought a side-by-side comparison and demonstration might be a good way to do it. All right, this is also in real time. I haven't sped anything up. And as you know, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can touch the screen and there'll be 3 dots that appear, and you can make the movie or video go faster or slower, depending on what you want to do. If you're watching this on Facebook, you don't have the option. You have to go as slowly as this, I think. Whoa, that's interesting. There's my eyeball. Okay. So things are starting to take form. Again, this is just, I'm only using 3 colors in order to do this so far. That ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and burnt sienna. That's one of my favorite triads for browns or darks in general. But as you can see, the part of the barn that faced the sun was a little bit lighter, and so that tends to have more burnt sienna in it than the side which is pulling away from the sun a little bit, and that has more alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue. All right, now I think it's, let's see what, again, I don't know what's going to happen here. I probably need to speed this video up. Anyway, so now this is Aurelian, which I like to use for light greens, and I'll also put some ultramarine blue in that Aurelian in order to tip the color. So I have a light and a dark green going on. Now I don't have the resource photo in front of me. I'm going from my painting. I'm just assuming that the painting that I did originally is correct in terms of value relationships. And I think it is, because I spent, as I said, I would have spent so much time. I spent so much time because I was so scared. You know, I just really believed that if you matched things, that everything would come out correctly. And it comes out correctly, but it comes out as almost, unfortunately to me, to my eye, dead on arrival. Now, this is a stylistic thing. It might not be the style that you like, and that's fine. Everybody picks their own style. I just thought if I did a side-by-side painting comparison, you would be able to see that demonstrated really well. Okay, and you can see from that green how much brighter that green is than the green I used back in the day. So it's brighter and has more color infused into the overall painting. All right, now it's going to be time to do the roofs of the barns, and I do roofs the same way. If they're in the sun, I would do them the same way I would paint clouds. And again, I'm going to use a triad, but the triad's going to be cerulean blue, um, a rose, a permanent rose, and Naples yellow. That's a pretty good tried and true triad for me for something that's really, really light. And again, I do this, and this is not as thick. This is about tea strength, but you'll see it put in. It makes a nice, warm, and yet will read later as being light overall. But again, 3 colors in order to accomplish one task. That's why I always say mass for value, mix for color. The mass is light, which is the roof, and I'm inserting 3 colors in order to show that roof. Okay, I hope this isn't as painfully slow for you as it is for me. All right, now we're going to go back. So you can see a difference there. And now we're going to go and look at the original again, just so you can see what it looks like when we started. And then I will pull back and insert my new barn into where the old barn was. All right, here we go. So this is what it looked like before. Again, nothing really wrong with it, but when you really look at the color of that barn, it is just dull. It's a really dull color. All right, now I went and I cut out my demo and I placed it on top. And I know it looks a little weird. The guy's head is gone and all of that. But I think you can see that there is a difference between the old way of painting where it was matchy-matchy and the new way of painting. There's just much more color infused into the forms than there was in the past. And this was the best way that I could think of to demonstrate it. And if you think this is a pretty good demonstration, if you understand what I'm trying to convey here, let me know. All right, now we look at the original again, and then I took some tape and put it on top so I could take a better look at it from far away. All right, so I hope that's helpful. Remember to keep the whites of your paper white, your paints wet, mass for value, mix for color, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.